Talk about Evan's path toward Buddhism. And I agonize over this because Buddhism is an ancient practice. And I thought, and I studied, and I pondered, and then I thought to myself, as I talked to Avi yesterday, just chuck it. I'm going to get up here and wing it. And that's the way to do this. And if you go to Amazon.com, you can actually find a book called Buddhism for Dummies. And I think if the Buddha were here today, he would be howling with laughter. Not out of derision, but delight. But what is Buddhism? And what is Evan's path? Well, one thing that we learn in Buddhism is that life is suffering. We suffer. But it's how we deal with that suffering that matters. And those of us who know Evan well know that many times his body rebelled against his spirit. And he suffered. However, even though he was in a wheelchair, actually he was rarely ever in a wheelchair, there were girls in his wheelchair. He used his wheelchair as a chick magnet. And then they pushed him around. I think he milked that wheelchair for a couple extra weeks. But he made sense of his suffering. His suffering did not become him. He let it flow through him. And we all saw his indomitable spirit flow toward us. And so when I was complaining of a gimpy knee or a headache, Evan would roll into rehearsal, and my knee felt a little bit better, and my headache went away. The most important part of Buddhism, though, is compassion. It's not tolerance. It's a word I don't like much. Tolerance is kind of, I don't like you, but I won't hurt you. Compassion is, I love you with all my heart and soul. The least of my brothers and sisters, the least of anything that is alive and not alive on this planet, I love. It is a reflection of me. It is part of me. It is part of you. We are all together. Walt Whitman once said, I celebrate myself and sing myself, for whatever belongs to me is good belongs to you. Walt Whitman didn't know it, but he was a Buddhist. Evan did not practice compassion. He was compassion. It flowed out of him. And it drew us toward him. And I have to admit something. I was kind of jealous of Evan, which is not a Buddhist thing to be. Because I knew him in my late 40s. And there's this 14-year-old kid who was further on his path than I. And I hurried to catch up. And I think we're all going to be hurrying to catch up. So, don't go to books. Don't go to Buddhism for Dummies. Don't follow leaders, as Bob Dylan told us. I'll leave you with the quintessence of Buddhism. It's a very simple thing. Maybe it's a very Zen thing. I'll leave you with what it means to be a Buddhist, what Buddhism means, to me at least, and I hope to many of you. This is Buddhism. This is Evan's path. Now you know. Any questions? I didn't think so. I'd now like to turn the program over to Mr. Abhi Magidov, who will talk to us a little bit more about the Buddhist perspective and teach us a little bit more about how we can let our love flow out and then back in as love flows like breath. Abhi.
Thank you so much for being here. I did actually prepare something a little bit easier. I think the Buddha and Evan would like to invite us to come back to ourselves, to come back to our breathing, and enjoy a few moments of just being, of letting go. Breathing in, I know that I'm breathing in. Breathing out, I know that I'm breathing out. In, out, at our own rhythm. Breathing in, I know that there is pain inside of me. Breathing out, I know that this pain connects me with all of life. Breathing in, I calm my body and my mind. Breathing out, I ease all the tensions in my body and mind. Breathing in, I smile. I smile to life, the miracles of life. Breathing out, I release all my ideas, all my notions. I let go. Breathing in, I dwell in this very moment. Breathing out, I know it is a wonderful moment. Present moment. Wonderful moment. So I think Mr. C gave us a very wonderful understanding of Buddhism, really, truly. You know, Buddhism is not a dogma, it's not a theory. It is a way to live, to touch life deeply. It's not like, there's a theory in Buddhism about death, although we hear about it in the various books. Some of them were mentioned. that the way to see death is to see life. To touch life is to touch death, to understand death and to accept death and to understand it fully. So to touch life, to really touch life deeply, to be here, to see the flower, to hear the birds, to see the full moon. This is what Buddhism is. We run away. We want to be preoccupied with all our goals and things we think will make us happy. If I have a new car, if I get another job, if I get another degree, maybe I'll have a more interesting boyfriend or girlfriend or something like that. And we have all these goals, and they don't make us happy. The Buddha tells us all the conditions for our happiness are right here, right now. They're totally available for us. We don't need to go anywhere. It's as close as my breathing in and my breathing out. Even when there's suffering, I can still breathe in and breathe out and create this tremendous space within myself. Evan understood this very instinctually. Evan knew he didn't want suffering to go away. He understood that suffering is the mother of compassion. So Evan had a natural quality, ability to touch life very profoundly, very deeply. Many of us who are not so talented in this, we have to learn. We've lost this capacity. So the Buddha has offered us some tools. It's called the tool of meditation. We stop, we calm, we let go of our ideas, our worries, our anxieties, our ambitions. And then we start to touch life deeply. And when we touch life deeply, we start seeing this incredible thing. It's called impermanence in the lingo, in the books. I start seeing, when I touch this moment very deeply, I see this moment, these feelings, these perceptions I have right now. It's not the same as it was the moment before, and it will not be the same the moment after. So by touching life, I see impermanence. I'm not the person that I was yesterday. I am not the person that I will be tomorrow. I keep changing. I keep manifesting in different ways. Yesterday, I was a different person. I came to the funeral home yesterday. I didn't know most of you. I wasn't part of your community. But your grief and your love and your caring touches me very deeply. I'm a different person now. I am not the same person I was then. And we look at it a little bit more, let's say, rationally to explain. I can say when I was 2 years old, I am the same person. My 2-year-old is still in me. But I'm clearly a different person. I cannot wear the same clothes. It's not possible. And I very much hope that I don't have quite the same desires, needs, or expressions. I'm very obviously the same person, but different manifestation. So this is impermanence. I look deeply and I see that I keep changing, I keep transforming, I keep becoming different things. When we look deeply at a flower through the eyes of impermanence, we can then touch the flower in turn more deeply. So I look at the flower, and in the flower, I already see the compost. The flower is going towards compost. It may be a few days or weeks, but I can see the compost already. And when I see the compost, I already see the flower. The compost turns into a flower. It is the same with suffering. The suffering offers us the space to find compassion so we can really connect with joy. And these lotuses, they're a symbol of Buddhism. We say no mud, no lotus. The lotus doesn't grow in dry environments. The lotus, the beautiful flower of the lotus, the beauty of the ability to touch life deeply, the way Evan was able to do, comes from the muck, comes from all the stuff we have to deal with in life. We want to escape it because we don't see very deeply. It is learning to stay there and be there with great capacity and joy, even though it sounds counterintuitive. So when I see impermanence, and I see that I keep changing, I keep transforming, this manifestation is different all the time. It moves. I can ask myself, where did I come from? Where am I going? So I want to find this body that's changing, where did it come from? So I go to the day I was born. And I clearly see I came from my mother's womb. So I know that I came from somewhere, but that's not very deep. So I go back, and I understand 9 months before that, where was I? And I go, there was an egg and a sperm. So I understand my inheritance, my genetic code, has always been there. Not exactly the same, it kept evolving and changing like everything else. And then causes and conditions were right. This sperm and egg came together, and this particular manifestation of me came about and keeps changing. So I see I really didn't come from anywhere, because I was always there. My aspirations for love, for understanding, for compassion have been there since immemorial time. Me as a human being has been there always in different manifestations. All humans, all beings, legs, arms, brains, hearts, we've had this pattern for immemorial time. So then I look and I say, where am I going? I understand I didn't come from anywhere. But am I going somewhere? And this is where it gets very hard for us, because we have many ideas and we do not want to look there. So I look at my death and I say, where am I going? Am I going anywhere? And the answer is, I am not going anywhere. Because when I die, my thoughts, my aspirations for love, compassion, understanding remain in everyone. They remain in life. Always. My own body will go back to the earth. The roots of trees and flowers will be nourished by my body. Perhaps if I'm cremated, there will be smoke, there will be heat that will come out. And that joins some cloud. So I'm now a new manifestation. And the cloud will change its manifestation and condense and will become rain. And this rain will come down and change its form and become a flower. So then I go out and I see the dandelion, I see the astilbe, the catmint, and I say, hello, grandmother. I'm so glad to see you here. This is what it means to look deeply. To see Evan in everything and everyone. So Evan isn't gone. He cannot go anywhere because there is no going. There is no coming. There is no going. So then as we look deeply, we also see that we're interconnected. I can see very clearly that I am the son of the sun, I am the son of the air, I am the son of water. I cannot survive without any of them. None of us can. So when I look inside of me, I can only see elements that we will define as non-me elements. I am not the sun. I am not the rain. I am not the air. But I only exist, and inside me, that is what we find. Inside me, you only find my culture, the ideas that were instilled in me by my parents, many ancestors, teachers. So I am a continuation of my parents, of my ancestors. I cannot exist as a separate box somewhere else, separately than everyone else. Sometimes we say, I don't need you. I don't belong to you, you don't belong to me, we have nothing to do with each other. That's when we're angry, and we clearly don't see things right. But we really cannot see that everyone is in us, and we're in everyone. I can see myself a little bit everywhere in this universe, and I see everything in the universe, in me, and in every one of us. That is the insight of into being. So I understand this body is not me. It is only made of non-body elements, of non-me elements. And I look at my hand. This is my father's hand. I was transmitted this hand from my father. When I look at my feet, these are my mother's feet. I don't have a separate existence. So I come to this understanding that I am a continuation of my ancestors. I see that I am a wave in the ocean of life, the stream of life. I am part of the stream of life, and I am also the stream of life. Each one of us is a wave. Some of us are taller, shorter, faster, slower. Some surfers like this wave, some surfers like the other wave. It's a little safer or something like that. But we're all part of the ocean. This wave is just the ocean. My wave will disappear and go back. I am always the water. I don't become the water. We are all just the water. We are the source of life. We're not just from one source. We are the source of life. So when we touch life very deeply, we can see that. And when we see that, compassion, love, and understanding arises spontaneously. We don't have to work. We don't have to do anything. We don't have to be kind or tolerant. We just have to touch life, touch the flower, touch my breath fully, touch life. That's when we understand what we call into being. I am you, and you're me. Isn't it obvious that we into are? You cultivate the flower in yourself so that I can be beautiful. I transform the garbage in myself so that you will not have to suffer. I support you. You support me. I am in this world to offer you peace. You're in this world to being my joy. This kind of insight, this is the gift that the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, great beings like Evan have given us, the capacity to really touch life. So that is really what we want to do. We don't want to escape our suffering. Evan understood suffering. Suffering, as one of my teachers said, suffering is a wonderful thing. It teaches us compassion. There cannot be a pure land without suffering, because there cannot be compassion without suffering. So we want to live life fully. The Buddha, it means to wake up. That is the word Buddha, means the one who is awakened. So in Buddhism, it's not like, coffee is bad for you, don't drink it, it's toxic. No, in Buddhism, it's wake up and smell the coffee. And this is what Evan was very, very good at. Perhaps maybe better with tea. but the capacity to smell life. So let's contemplate together that this body, this is not me. We're each made of non-me elements. We're each part of this vast ocean of life. Birth and death in Buddhism, they're just a game of hide and seek. I manifest here like this, I manifest 3 minutes before like that. We just keep manifesting, playing latent hide and seek. One day I manifest, another day I stop manifesting. But we meet each other, we know each other very strongly as water in every form of life. Evan exists in every form of life. He's in each one of us, and he's in every flower, and every flower in every one of us is inside of each of us. This body is not me. I am not caught in this body. I am life without boundaries. I have never been born, and I shall never die. Look at the ocean and the sky filled with stars. Look at the ancestors and the descendants. All manifestations of this wondrous mind. Since before time, I have been free. Birth and death are only doors, sacred thresholds on our journey. Birth and death are only a game of hide and seek. So smile with me, take my hand, let us say goodbye. Goodbye, till we meet again. We meet today, we shall meet tomorrow. We shall meet in every form of life. We meet today, we shall meet tomorrow. We shall meet in every form of life.
We'd like to hear some testimonials from beloved friends and family. And I'd like to call up to the podium first, Matt Summers. Matt? Matthew? Karen? Oh, can't see it.
Hey everybody. I'm Matt Summers, one of Evan's classmates at Bates, on the debate team with him, and we got to be pretty good friends over the year. So for those of you who are here, who were at the Thursday gathering at Bates, this will be a little repetitive for you to hear these stories again. But I kind of want to let everyone else here have a little window into Evan's past year, his experience at Bates. So a couple days after everyone at Bates found out what happened, I was kind of distraught that I couldn't think of any, funny, happy, crazy stories of things that Evan and I had done together. And then one night I was walking through one of the dorms at Bates with John Goodman from New York, who I picked up this morning on the way here. And we're going to the bathroom in Adams, which is one of the dorms. John says, "Do you remember the last time we were in this bathroom?" I thought back to, I think it was late January, when Bates has this tradition that, so once the little pond that we have, called the puddle, is all frozen over and there's snow everywhere and it's really cold and it's in Maine, but I guess you guys kind of know the feeling. The outing club gets their chainsaw guys out and they chainsaw a hole into the pond, and it's called the puddle jump, where